Hello, everybody. I am I didn't put an intro into this. We're going in live. I'm not going to steal Baker's phrase, but we are hopefully going to see the state rest today, or possibly we're still on Friday because Gareth still has the Friday outfit on. I am not sure where we are on this timeline. I am still all the confused about how we are getting where we are in this timeline. Um, since Gareth's outfit doesn't seem to change, it I I want to tell you where we are, but I don't know in time and space where we are in this case. Good morning, reindeer. Uh, I am so by the looks of his suit, and I will try to keep track of the Doogie Howser's tie, it looks like we're still on Friday. So I don't know if the state is actually going to rest like I had the thumbnail. These people are totally disrespectful to the amount of time that I actually pretend to do thumbnails. I don't pretend to do thumbnails. I do thumbnails. Uh, Good morning, a girl and her mama. Yeah, and good morning, little peanut. So I don't know exactly where we are at timeline-wise, unless Gareth has just decided this is the suit that he is going to wear for the rest of the trial, and he is done, changing suits. So, with that being said, let's jump into this because we are about 30 minutes behind, because now we have decided to start having a schedule and release the footage at 10 o'clock.
We are prepared to go forward. Hopefully, you've had a good weekend, and it always is so short. We have the witness, Mr. Masterson, back on the stand for the fourth time. Mr. Franzel, let's go ahead and complete his testimony, if you would, please.
Good morning, detectives. Good morning.
Loki does like to perch on the condo like Batman. He wants to adopt Fry, but Fry barks at him. Good morning, Sal. This is the first time I've seen Gareth's chin level, but he's gone back to his normal posture, so back to regular things.
Thank you. On Friday, I asked you about the February 15th interview with Michael Herman at the station. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And I asked you whether he told you in that interview whether Miss Harwick was still screaming when he ran out of the house.
Yes.
And you testified that you couldn't recall.
Correct.
And then I was looking for the page in the transcript, but I couldn't find it, and I said I'd come back to it, right?
Okay. Yes.
So
Okay, so it is Monday. It is in fact
I was able
Monday.
to find the page in the transcript. May I approach?
Fry, he doesn't want to play with you. If you bark at him, you will get that.
Would be page 30. Although I think that the PDF of the transcript says each page is 3. So it's page 30, starting at line 8, going to page 31, line 20. Or sorry, line 24. So if you could start from there. And just look up when you're done, please.
I says, my friend is over there and it's in my bed. Are we still harping on about, look, again, the defense is going with this, did you ask these certain questions? I know what the defense is doing. I know that they have a job to do, but none of this is moving the needle for none of this would move the needle for me as a juror. These cross the I, dot the T kind of things like, well, did this, in the in in this interview, did you ask them point blank, did he hear her at 9:05 a.m., say or PM, yell this, that, and the other? No, you know, the specificity of time, Sir Berto. I understand that you are in full on I would like to play with Loki mode, but you just end up barking at him and you end up getting the hat of shame. So I release you on your own recognizance, but you seem to not be able to take that responsibility well. Uh, But the fact is that it's overwhelming the evidence we have in this case to connect him. So I don't know that any of the things that the defense is bringing out with these statements or kind of questioning and impeaching these statements are moving the needle. But you tell me, chat. I mean, maybe I'm the one that's missing it here because I could be. And now both of the animals have left the bed. I do also appreciate this judge again making sure that these are going in a timely fashion and really running his courtroom with all the crankiness of a person who doesn't like his time wasted.
Okay, did that refresh your recollection?
Somewhat, yes.
And isn't it true that in that interview at the station on the 15th, he told you that she was still screaming when he ran out of the house?
When he ran out of the house, yes.
Correct. Okay. So I have the clip of that interaction that I'd like to mark as defense next in order.
Objection to witness.
Yeah, what foundation have you established? He's acknowledged he's
No,
done
no,
it.
this is impeaching Mr. Herman. This is not impeaching the detective. This is just a.
Hold on, let's approach on sidebar.
Oh no. The defense has already started out Monday. I really should have 8 mobile boards of truth. But the defense has decided and taken the risky role to start Monday at already sweaty Danny Glover level Predator 2. Now, Escape from LA with a judge. Now, it can only go up from here on the Danny Glover, too old, too tired, too sweaty for this shit in the doneness and tired with this judge. And he's starting off bright and early with this crap. Doogie is already on thin ice, and it's at this time in his time continuum in his multiverse. It is a Monday. It's a bold strategy. Let's make sure it doesn't end up with the judge's head exploding. That's a mushroom cloud and not a tree, as you can tell by this little thing down here. And we'll put the judge's head down here with his little mustache, his eyes. This is his nose and his little frowny face. And then his awesome microphone that is no way phallic. But it does seem like he's already starting out on thin ice. But let's continue because it's a strategy. Let's see how it'll play out for him. And we'll continue to keep track of the Danny Glover lostness, but we're already starting out at Predator 2 Lost in Sweaty Land levels. So let's see. Because it's gonna be a long day already. But I don't know that you can impeach another witness with a witness. I don't know that you can impeach the roommate with the officer. I don't know. It seems like you would need to be a lawyer for this. This judge is like, I cannot with you people.
On Friday, you also testified about what Mr. Herman said during the walkthrough before the interview at the station. And that during that walkthrough conversation at 2886 Mound, that he also said that she was screaming when he left. Remember that?
Good morning,
I'm sorry.
Alexandra.
I know what I just refreshed during the interview, but I can't say for certain that's what he said through the walkthrough.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a transcript of the walkthrough?
It might.
This is page 28. Line 7.
Sure, you have mountains of toys, no cardboard. You have toys and toys and toys, no cardboard.
And if you could just read all the way to 29, line 2.
Oh, for goodness sake,
Okay,
sorry
so
guys.
Come back up here. Okay.
I will be semi-professional one day, I promise.
And then there's one more section, line 31, or page 31, starting at line 12 down to line 22.
And this is transcript of
Yes,
same transcript,
correct.
starting at line 12.
Starting at line 12 on page 31. Okay, so did that refresh your recollection?
Somewhat.
And in that walkthrough,
Yeah,
that morning on the
did I
15th
switch?
February,
You can see the
Mr.
video
Herman
playing
told you
now,
multiple
right?
times that he could still hear her screaming as he left the house.
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to play those clips of Mr. Herman telling the detective that, Your Honor. They're incredibly short clips.
I'm going to object to the editorials. My objection is improper impeachment. Witness has been impeached.
Salberto,
Well,
I
he said he
somewhat
remembers
noticed.
it somewhat. This was different than his last answer, so I'm going to allow it because he characterized it as such. Go ahead.
Y'all, I'm going to be I'm going to in clear and transparentness. Auntie Mo tends to nocturnalize and shut off her brain about 10 seconds after the 7 p.m. Stream ends. But just for you guys, I have stocked up on energy drinks and all the caffeine, and we are going to do Delphi after 7 p.m., so 8. So I am extending my bedtime, and I get up at 4 a.m. So just for you lovely people, I am doing, more work. And as an insomniac, I barely sleep anyway, but I tend to be able to go to sleep, just not stay asleep. So, and as a scatterbrain to begin with, and a natural blonde, I have all the things stacked against me. So thank you, chat. I
What's
I
the next
appreciate all
order,
the
Your Honor?
boomer
You're
stuff because I do boomery
W
things. So
squared, if
I
you would.
appreciate the gentle help
So I'm marking a CD as
and the
W
non-gentle
squared,
help
marking the
from
transcript
chat.
WW1.
I do. I really do, because I would have left it on Big Me for the entire time and not even noticed. 'Cause I'm observant. I have situational awareness. Was that a smile I saw? Oh, I would like David to call and make sure that Gareth doesn't smile anymore. And for those of you that didn't see it last night, I did in fact get my personalized Funko Pop. Fry is floating for some reason. I guess he
Sorry,
got
do you recognize this,
jing
sir?
jangled
Yes.
in
And this is
shipping,
you
but I
at
also have a little
2086
wine
Mound
glass,
on the 15th
and
of
Thor
February
is
before
in there on the
you
side.
interviewed Mr. Herman at the station, right?
Yes.
Please, bud. I'm gonna let the CD go.
Now, hearing the screams, how far are you can hear the screams?
I just heard them when I still left the door.
When you walk out the door, I just have them like coming out.
I still hear
You
them.
still hear the scream. And when you're
I have a CD in my hand, I'd like to mark as XX, and the transcript I'd like to mark as XX1.
I swear to goodness, this defense team takes 9.5 hours to make a point that no one cared about ever.
sorry, she was still yelling.
Okay, so, sir, do you recognize this still image?
Yes.
And is it also Mr. Herman on the 15th at 2086 Mound?
Yes.
Sorry, she was still yelling. Okay, she was yelling.
I'm gonna let the CD load. I'm gonna go back to the start.
Okay, she's yelling the whole time.
Telling me, that's why I knew. I knew that there was somebody else in here.
Okay, now this is kind of strange, but can you yell like what did it sound like to you? Okay. Just a panic yell.
Yeah.
She didn't say like stop, don't. She didn't yell a name. Nothing, with words. It was just the sounds. The sounds of the scream. Okay. And so,
Yeah, what was that? That sounded like, oh gosh, was that Tim Kaine? Who was the guy that went to New Hampshire and nuked his entire political career because he went like, "Yee-haw!" And it was just the scream heard around the world? Uh, it was just I remember the scream, and it was just so weird and unsettling that I think it nuked his entire, political career. Howard Dean. There we go. Well, why did I have instant flashbacks? Yeah, I was gonna cover it in really gaudy, rhinestone tinfoil, looking things, and possibly, spell out, uh, or have bear pig on it.
All right. So
I don't know. I will have a Conspira hat tonight for the Delphi thing. I really will.
on Friday, I asked you about the
I hope
phone
they're by
call from
Crook.
Michael Herman that occurred on the 20th of February 2020.
Yes,
The recording of that call was 21 minutes and 44 seconds long.
I don't know how long it was.
Would it refresh your recollection? Look at the video or look at the recording. Like,
It might.
all right. Showing you file titled Michael Herman 2020 N4A. Can you see here the link to the recording?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And so the call was 21 minutes and 44 seconds long, right?
That's what it shows on your computer. Yes.
8. So right after Newsy News.
And
I'm going to try. I'm
you
trying to
previously
zhuzh up my
testified that the
screens
very
as I
beginning of the
can.
call was not recorded, right?
They got, talking about the voicemail or the call?
The call. This is the call that you received, and then you put it on speakerphone so that Detective Carranza could also listen
Correct.
when you're in a car.
Yes.
So the very beginning was not recorded, right?
Correct.
But once Mr. Herman started talking about the facts related to the case, you put the call on speakerphone and started recording.
Yes.
Now, at the end of the call, before turning the recording off, Detective Carranza made a record that it was 3:58 p.m. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
All right. Would it refresh your recollection to look at the transcript?
It might.
Okay, may I approach?
Yes.
Showing the detective page 20 of the transcript that is titled Michael Herman via telephone, and showing the detective, if you please could just read from line 22 of page 20 down to down to line 27.
My ADHD would have gone insane. I'd need Sudoku, and I hate Sudoku and numbers, but I'd need like crossword puzzles or
Did
coloring
that refresh
books.
your recollection, sir?
Somewhat.
And
The doodles
Detective
would have been
Carranza
epic.
read into the recording that you were ending the call at 3:58 p.m., right?
Yes.
And so the call began at 3:36 p.m.
Yes.
On Friday, I asked you whether you remembered when you made various items of evidence available to Ms. Bernstein-Lev and the investigator, Christopher Nicely. Do you recall that now?
Do I recall you asking me those questions, or do I recall?
The latter. Do you recall them coming over and you making the evidence available for them? Mr. Avila was also there.
Not really. No.
On Friday, I asked you about some preservation requests. I just have a couple of clarification questions. So you personally never sent a preservation request to Google for the Nest camera footage.
I did not. No.
And you didn't direct anyone to send a preservation request to Google for the Nest camera footage.
No, I did not.
On the 20th of May, 2020, Detective Carranza sent Twitter a preservation letter for certain records from Mr. Purshouse's Twitter account.
Right.
Do you recall that you were the affiant on the search warrant?
I recall being the affiant of the search warrant. Yes.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the search warrant?
Oh Lord, no! Don't
It might.
refresh. No, not again. We're never gonna move. We're gonna be refreshing his recollection for the rest of our lives.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay, so this is page 1
Uh-huh.
for signature of affiant.
Uh-huh.
If you could just look at page 2, here and here. And look up one more time, please.
down to here.
All the way down to
Do you think Doogie ever goes home and says, "Wife, on our marriage contract, you said here and here that I was due marital contract times on Wednesdays and Thursdays and every month, the 15th and the 1st, and I believe you are due for our annual marriage time meetings. Uh, by our annual fiscal meeting of this year, you're behind at least 2 marriage dates. I demand, physical atonement and by statute A and B of our marriage agreement." I don't know. I just see him being one of those people.
Okay.
Did that
You can
refresh your
pick from
recollection?
subsection B and C, side dishes you'd be willing to
I mean,
make.
Yeah, I guess I have a recollection of search warrant, but I think you were asking me another question about a certain date.
Right. So you were the affiant of the search warrant, and within that search, did you review the search warrant that you signed your name to?
Back then, yeah, oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And part of that search warrant included information that on the 20th of May, 2020, 2 preservation requests went out, right?
I didn't see that in what I just read.
Can I approach again?
All right, this is getting cumbersome. Let's try to improve the efficiency on this. Go ahead and approach.
Can I approach now?
Yes?
Oh no. I will remember this time I'm in beginning myself. But Doogie. Doogie, Doogie, Doogie. We have reached Lethal Weapon 1. What the hell is this crazy Australian guy doing in America? What the Mel Gibson with a mullet? So, party in the front, fun in back, nose, chin, eyeball. We have reached Lethal Weapon 1. What in the Mel Gibson mullet? Lethal Weapon 1. You are pissing the judge off. He is on Danny Glover, Lethal Weapon 1 level of old, grumpy, tired, retired, or old, grumpy, and ready to retire, done with this shit. Sir, you only have until like Lethal Weapon 47. What the hell is Chris Rock doing in this job? You know, in my movie, Screwing My Daughter. I mean, we only have a couple more movies to go. It's early in the morning, sir. You haven't even gotten morning break. Do we really want to? I mean, I don't know if Griffin ever has this, sort of logic tree that he does, but you are fairly early in the morning and this is the path that you are choosing. It's a bold strategy.
All right. So page 2. See here. Reservation requested.
Okay, yes.
And then here, preservation
Okay.
order, email, 5.
Okay, I'm sorry, yes.
No. Did you get a good look at that? Yes. Okay. So, seems like your recollection is refreshed now. Detective, there was a preservation letter emailed on the 20th of May, 2020 to Twitter for certain records from Mr. Pursehouse's account, right?
Yes,
And on the same day, the 20th of May, 2020, a preservation letter was sent for certain records associated with his Instagram account.
yes,
You interviewed Hernando Chavez on February 18th, 2020, right?
my partner and I, yes.
In that interview, Dr. Hernando Chavez told you that other people heard the statement, "You ruined my life, bitch." Right?
That's not my recollection of the statement, no.
In that interview, Hernando Chavez told you that he did not personally hear that statement.
That's not my recollection of the statement, no.
So your testimony today is that Hernando Chavez did tell you that he personally heard Gareth Pursehouse say, "You ruined my life, bitch."
Objection argumentative.
No.
My recollection of his statement that day was that he did not hear the beginning or the middle of the argument. He only heard the end of the argument. That he heard some comments, and that the way I understood his statement was the beginning and the middle, that he wasn't there for. He was told what was said to him by Amy, and I can't remember, he used a term for the other person. But then he talks about hearing other statements.
So I have a very specific question. In the interview with Hernando Chavez, he never told you that he personally heard Gareth Pursehouse say, "You ruined my life, bitch." Isn't that true?
Objection, vague as phrased.
Oh, you can explain too, Mike.
I'm just focusing on that specific statement, not other statements.
The way he said it, and the way I understood what he said during the interview was that he heard certain things. He couldn't give a verbatim what was said, but he had heard certain things, and he was told other things.
My question is only about this very specific phrase. Okay? So in that interview with Hernando Chavez, he told you that other people and not himself were the ones that heard this specific phrase from Mr. Pursehouse, "You ruined my life, bitch."
Objection, just compound as.
Is that correct, yes or no?
But I'm gonna object as compound as phrased.
Rephrase it, counsel.
Hernando Chavez told you that he was not the one who heard the statement, "You ruined my life, bitch."
Is that correct?
I don't think that is correct.
Okay.
All right.
So you testified in the preliminary hearing in this case, right?
I did.
And isn't it true that your testimony at the preliminary hearing was different than your testimony here today?
Vague as to what's different.
Exactly, sustained.
In your preliminary hearing testimony, you testified, "I read the transcript."
Wait, we're in backinating? God bless closed captioning, because this is boring as hell. I'm no offense to anyone watching. I'm trying to zhuzh it up, but the defense is gone off on a tangent where they think they're going to fight for innocence by nitpicking. But
In your preliminary
in
hearing
Parliament in
testimony, you
Europe hearing
testified,
testimony,
"I read the transcript of the interview with this is page 54, line 25. I read the transcript of the interview with Mr. Herman. I watched the video. I read the summary that was written of our interview, along with the notes in the chronological records." Then you were asked, "And did you tell him whether or not you found a statement from Mr. Chavez in which he told you he personally heard Mr. Pursehouse say, 'You ruined my life, bitch'?" You then testified, "I did not find the statement, 'You ruined my life, bitch,' but there was another statement that I believe he attributes to hearing, and that is why I wanted to look at the entire transcript." You were asked, "The portion I just asked you about,
What page is this?
54, line 14 to 16, and on." Then you were asked, "The portion I just asked you about, Dr. Chavez never told you he personally heard that. Is that correct?" And you answered, "Correct." Right?
Yes.
So you, in the preliminary hearing, you testified that that Hernando Chavez that Hernando Chavez told you he never personally heard that statement.
At the preliminary hearing, that is what I said, yes.
And in this February interview with Mr. Chavez, you and Detective Carranza actually had a whole conversation where you impressed upon him the need to have an actual witness to that statement, right?
I don't think we impressed upon him that we were looking for a witness to that actual statement. I think we were just looking for as close to somebody who heard as much of the argument as possible.
And isn't it true that in the preliminary hearing, you testified that we would like to find somebody who heard more of the conversation? And you testified that that was the general context of the conversation, that finding that person that heard that statement.
Objection, compound.
That's a little different than what you just represented, counsel. We'd like to hear somebody that heard more of that conversation. He didn't make it as specific as you did.
No,
That's different.
isn't it true that you testified, and I quote,
And for the record, the page 54 that was read before, that's for volume 6.
All right.
so this is page 55, volume 6. You were asked, as a matter of fact, at the end of your interview with Dr. Chavez, both you and Detective Carranza impressed upon him the need to have an actual witness to what was said prior to his arrival during the conversation between Dr. Harwick and Mr. Pursehouse. Is that correct? And you answered, I would say that we did talk about, we would like to find somebody who heard more of the conversation. I don't think we said we need to have that, but yes, other than that, that's the general context of the conversation at the end there. So the general context, that's you testified to that, right? That was your testimony from the preliminary hearing.
Yes.
And so isn't it true that you had a kind of detailed back and forth with Mr. Chavez about how you wanted him to find that witness?
Objection, misstates the testimony.
Sustained.
And you testified, yeah, and that's what, if it wasn't for covering this angle and of what happened that night, we wouldn't push it. But I think it's going to be a key to successful prosecution. That's what you testified to, right?
Objection, which line is he testifying to that?
20 to 24 of page
That's-
55.
That's a question by an attorney.
And your answer, that sounds like something I said. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
For the record, that's a question by the defense attorney.
Yes, exactly. You were asked this question. Do you recall telling Dr. Chavez, yeah, and that's what, if it wasn't for covering this angle and of what happened that night, we wouldn't push it. But I think it's going to be a key to successful prosecution. So in that question, the defense attorney was quoting you in the interview, right?
I'm going to object as counsel's now testifying.
Why are you saying right? If it's incorrect, I'm sure the witness will correct him. Is that correct?
Well, I can't sit here today and tell you exactly what I said that many years ago. But I noticed on both of those questions that you asked me that you're using part of the question seeming like it's part of what I said, when all I was trying to do was get from the witness what they heard, what was going on, and if they didn't have all the information, was there other witnesses that could provide additional information to what was going on at the red carpet?
So you just said that you can't exactly recall exactly what you said in the interview with Mr. Chavez. Would it refresh your recollection to look at the transcript?
Again, it might. This is many years ago.
Showing transcript of the interview with Hernando Chavez, page 28, line 4 to 7. Please look up when you're done.
So basically, we're going with the doctor that was pulled off, Dr. Friend Zone, didn't really hear this argument, but other people did. So regardless if this particular doctor did not hear it, other people did. Other people saw Snot Bubble
Okay.
Gareth break down and get on his knees and cry like a hysterical
And just for additional context, just so
Muppet,
that there's
you
no
know.
question of whether that section is being taken out of context, could you also read
So why are
page
we spending all
27
this time on this?
from
I do not have high hopes for the
the
defense's
top from line
case.
1 all the way down?
If you're at all wondering my bet on the defense's case, I am going with -0. I mean, I'm trying not to be an ass, but again, it doesn't, none of this moves the needle for me. And if I was a juror, I'd be irritated that they're wasting my time with this kind of stuff. I have the memo. I have all the memo. So thank you guys. I got that from my local source, and then Sal, who is awesome. And then I think Murph's Turf and someone else. And it might have been, I
Okay,
will
so did that
remember the
refresh
name.
your
Someone
recollection?
else. But thank you, everyone who found
And
it. You guys are
isn't
all
it true
awesome, and I
that
couldn't do it without you guys.
that question that was asked of you was just a quote from your interview that you specifically said, yeah, and that's what, and if it wasn't for covering this angle of what happened that night, we wouldn't push it. But I think it's going to be a key to successful prosecution. That's what you said in the interview.
That was part of what I said in that interview. Yes. When
Right.
we were talking about what, who was at the red carpet and who heard what, and if we could find people that saw this event and saw what happened and heard what was said, all that would go toward the investigation.
And you were telling Hernando Chavez you needed somebody who would say, I was there, this is what I saw, right?
An eyewitness would be great. Yes.
And it was specifically in the context of hearing this statement.
Well, hearing a statement and other statements, I don't know. We're still investigating this thing and trying to figure out what happened.
Right. And the whole reason that you were asking for this friend of the information for this friend of Mr. Chavez is because he told you he wasn't the one who heard that statement.
You keep,
I'm gonna check that.
you keep trying to insinuate that it is this witness's statement that he would like other people that heard statements and so forth to say that he was looking for other people that heard that statement and that therefore he didn't hear it all, Mr. Chavez. He's already explained it to you, so ask your next question if you would.
It's not
We
an
are
insinuation.
inching up,
It's what's
folks.
in the
We're
transcript.
No,
almost
that's the
to
way
level.
the court interprets it. Anyway, let's move on.
We're getting to Lethal Weapon 2. It's not even break time. Doogie does not know when to stop. And that's not what his wife says, allegedly. I'm a terrible person. That was in poor taste. I don't regret it, but it was in poor
Now,
taste.
you also talked to Hernando Chavez about the second conversation that Ms. Harwick had with Gareth, right?
What do you mean the second conversation?
At the XBiz Awards.
I understand the experts was. I don't understand what you mean by second conversation.
At the XBiz Awards on January 16th, 2020, there was an encounter between Mr. Pursehouse and Ms. Harwick, right?
Yes.
And they had a conversation.
Check your foundation as to this witness.
Overall, I mean, overruled. Were you aware that there was a second conversation that took place?
Well, I'm not sure what he means by a second conversation, Your Honor. I know that
There was
I know. Is he available to train both Griffin and Fry in a dual sort of training thing? Can I get a like a reduced fee if I bring both Child and Fryberto together to get trained South Park style? Come on, Cartman almost became good. I think that that is a sellable point.
an
There was the
initial
encounter-
conversation when they first met each other,
Yes.
when they first ran into each other, and then there was a subsequent conversation that occurred. Did you know that? Right at the scene of the awards show.
If he's referring to it, they walk away together.
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
that's all. I just didn't understand if
Yeah.
that's what he meant by a second conversation.
All right.
Aw, and he had to wear real pants this
At the end of the
time,
night.
not his jeans.
Right at the end of the XBiz Awards.
Okay, yes,
And you asked Mr. Chavez about that, right?
I believe
he
Mr.
told us about it,
Chavez
yes.
is Dr. Friendzone.
You interviewed Mr. Chavez
yes,
and you asked him what happened.
yes,
And he told you about this second conversation at the end of the night.
yes,
He told you that 5 to 10 minutes after Miss Harwick and Mr. Pursehouse left to have this second conversation, he went to the room that they were talking in.
yes,
And during that conversation, that he was sitting in the same room as the two of them,
yes,
that he was sitting there for 45 minutes,
yes,
that he could see them talking on the bench,
yes,
that he could see their body language during the conversation,
yes.
and that eventually he got tired of sitting there.
Tired of sitting and waiting, yes,
So he went over to Miss Harwick and said, I think we need to go.
yes,
You and Detective Carranza interviewed Aspen Jameson in Henderson, Nevada on the 28th of October, 2021.
yes.
You wrote a report about that interview.
There's a statement report, yes,
Did you review that report?
I did.
And it included all the important details from the interview with Miss Jameson.
I believe so,
It was complete, true, and accurate.
yes,
9 days prior to the interview, on the 19th of October, 2021, you spoke with Aspen Jameson on the phone.
yes,
That phone call was not recorded.
no, it was not.
You took handwritten notes of that conversation.
I did,
In your notes, you included
Well,
biography.
take his shackles off. They didn't record the phone call. Obviously, this has all been a setup. Let him go. It's obviously been a deeply corrupt. And what did Brad Leon said? They used special effects and different voices, and that's how they got him.
Graphical details, including her name, date of birth, phone number, that kind of thing.
yes,
And those notes also included notes about what was discussed in the call, right?
somewhat, yes,
And your notes make a list of what was discussed.
yes.
You spoke to her about what happened at the XBiz show.
No, not really.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at your notes?
No, I don't think so.
In your notes, you write that she was introduced to Miss Harwick, right?
Yes,
That she saw and
I'm
heard.
sorry, that she was introduced.
Correct.
I don't know if I use that term,
Would it
introduced.
refresh your recollection to look at the?
It might,
Oh, you fell into the trap. No.
If you could just look right there.
Mhm.
Oh, don't smile. I liked you better when you were looking at the desk, sir. Continue to cast your eyes
Did that
downward
refresh your
in
recollection,
shame.
sir?
yes,
And isn't it true that you wrote a note, intro to Harwick?
yes,
By that, perhaps that was my mistake, assuming what intro meant. Did you mean introduced to Harwick?
yes,
Okay. And that Miss Jameson saw and heard a male.
yes,
That she heard the phrase, "Why are you here?"
yes,
That not supportive was also noted.
yes,
Liar, two-face,
yes,
got heated, walk away, right?
Yes.
Nothing in your notes indicate that Miss Jameson told you that she heard the statement, "You ruined my life, bitch."
On the phone call? No, because I didn't go into an interview about what was going on.
Well,
What
you were,
those little bullet points that are on there, I was asking her to verify, is this the lady that was there at the red carpet? Did you speak with a woman that was there, Amy? I wanted to make sure that that I had the right person that we were talking about, and she knew something about what I wanted to talk about.
so your notes saw and heard mail. Why are you here? Not supportive. Those are notes that you were taking of what Miss Jameson was telling you about.
It's not a comprehensive interview at that point. He is just doing a bullet point, kinda like, "Were you even there? Do we want to even bring you in, Miss Aspen, ma'am ma'am? Yes. Do we wanna bring you in, and conduct a further, more in-depth article or interview from what I can understand?" Doogie, stop pissing me off. Now you have gotten me to Lethal Weapon 2, irritated and done with this. Not as sweaty, but I am irritated and done with you, sir. This is pedantic, this is ridiculous, and this is not moving the needle anyway. You are just forcing your client to look up straight at the camera, and I have come to the realization that I'd rather him just look down at the desk. It's an improvement.
The event, right?
I don't recall if she told me that exactly, or those are just like the things that I was asking her, and I was writing what I'm saying down. Because, like I said, this is sometime after the incident. Dr. Chavez was a little hesitant to provide us her information. He wanted to reach out to her and get her to call us.
All right, I'm going to stop you there. So the heading in your notes, XBiz red carpet January 2020, that's not to signify that you spoke about that with Ms. Jameson?
They just spoke about what?
Well, that subject you just asked about, go ahead.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
In the center of your handwritten notes, all of those, that whole list is not what Ms. Jameson was telling you on the phone?
Not necessarily. I'm asking her, were you at the X business? Yeah, I was there. Did you meet Amy? So those are kind of my talking points as well.
And so you were asking her, did you hear the phrase, "Why are you here"?
No, I don't think I said that.
That's the phrase, "Why are you here" is written in your notes.
Right? And I said, I don't think I said that.
So that was what she told you.
I believe so.
Okay. And not supportive. Were you asking her, with Ms. Jameson, something about Ms. Harwick not being supportive of adult film in the past?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
And liar two-face, you're asking Ms. Jameson if she heard that phrase?
No.
She's telling you that?
Yes.
Okay. And got heated, walk away. Are you asking Ms. Jameson, did they get heated and walk away, or is that what she told you?
I think she said that it was a heated argument. Yes.
And so your notes and your testimony, it shows that clearly this phone conversation was not just a logistical conversation, right?
Yes, it was.
But you were just talking about how you were talking about what happened at the Expos Awards, right?
I can't control what somebody says back to me, but my purpose in this call was purely logistical, to get in touch with her, find out if she was the person that we were looking to speak with, and then set up
His
an appointment
defense
at her
is-
convenience to do
I
an
have-
interview.
And my question wasn't what was your purpose. My question is the call, the contents of the call, what was discussed in the call, ended up going into what happened at the Expos Award ceremony, right?
Objection asked and answered and argumentative.
Right. He's just trying to lay a foundation. There's the next question. Go ahead. Is that correct? What he just stated? Go ahead and repeat your question.
Well,
that the call, what you actually did talk about, it did include her memories from the XBiz Awards event.
Not really. It was like I said, it was just to make sure that she's the person that we wanted to talk to.
Gareth, I'm just as
It
bored
wasn't-
as
it
you, and I
wasn't
don't
like
want to
an
agree with
interview.
you ever.
Like, I didn't ask her this and
I
she
have
said
never
that.
ever wanted to
Then I
agree
asked
with
her this and
Gareth,
she said that. It wasn't
and
like
yet
that
I'm
at all.
actually agreeing. It's
Isn't it true that in that phone
horrific.
call you asked her whether she heard Mr. Pursehouse say, "You ruined my life, bitch"?
No, I did not.
I have a CD that I'd like to mark this defense next in order.
Yeah, double Y.
Yes, I as the witness, I as the watching audience have a double why are we babbling about this? We have the dude on ring camera. We have his DNA, his urine, his damned hands all over this woman. I mean, I will
Can I see the exhibit?
let Doogie talk. Never mind. Does he just never wash his hair? Is that just an accumulation of 2.5 years of just greasy hair? Don't look at me, sir. Look directly at the table. I don't want to see you. I may be in a mood today, but the defense is royally ticking me off. It's doing it's when questions are purposeful, I
walk
don't
away, yeah.
object.
Mr. Pursehouse, Miss Jameson.
But when questions are just ridiculous, ew, Sal, party foul.
In the interview with Miss Jameson, she was telling you about the manner in which Miss Harwick and Mr. Pursehouse walked away from the red carpet, right?
That they walked away, yes.
And when she was describing that, she told you and
They
Detective
rode away on a
Carranza,
unicycle.
and then I think
together.
well, she walked away, and I think he followed. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Let's talk about investigation practices. So interviewing two witnesses together at the same time is not best practices.
It wouldn't be my preferred way, but sometimes that's the way it has to happen.
That's the way it has to happen.
Sure. Sometimes.
The problem is that the two witnesses can hear each other's statements, right?
Yes.
And then even if it's not intentional, hearing other witnesses' statements can affect your own memory of the event.
Affect my memory of the event.
If two people are interviewed together and person A hears what person B is saying, that can affect person A's own memory of the event, just hearing their statement, right?
It could.
And so it's best practices to take statements from witnesses separately, right?
That's the preferable method. Yes.
And you were trained in the LAPD homicide manual, right?
Yes.
And the homicide manual specifically instructs in multiple places to separate witnesses, right?
Yes.
On February 16th, 2020, you interviewed Sarah Rollins and Mr. Koshland together in the same interview, right?
Vegas to the number of Robert Costlin's interviews.
Well, well, did you interview them together? I know that you had testified earlier that you interviewed one and then you interviewed the other, but the other one happened to be there for support.
Yes.
Okay, so could you explain that?
So
Hold on, let him explain it.
but my question, Your Honor, was whether he interviewed them together.
Right, and he's going to explain it.
I would object as non-responsive.
No, I'm going to allow him to explain it. You want an answer, he's going to explain it. Go ahead and explain your answer if you want.
They came in together to be interviewed. She was hesitant to meet with us one-on-one and preferred to be with Robert for support. And so we allowed it. I allowed it.
Okay.
I'll take responsibility for that.
Did you interview him at the same time?
No,
Okay.
he was not the subject of the interview. She was.
Right, but they were both witnesses in this case, and the point is you interviewed them together, right?
Correct.
All right, so I have a number of photographs, copies for the people.
I'm sorry, how much longer do you have for this witness? You said 40 minutes the other day, and it's been almost an
I'm
hour.
having to refresh my recollection on whole lot.
I understand that. How much longer do you have? The question was.
The judge is like,
I
get
think
done. Good
probably
morning,
15
Okay.
Ghost Free Anonymous.
You're marking exhibits.
Yes.
You're at double Z right now.
And don't forget, you guys, no
YY
shame
was
if you want to jump
was YY
over.
a CD?
Jody
Someone
is
help me
getting
out
ready
on
to
this?
start soon. The infamous Jody Arias. There
Oh,
might
yeah,
be
that's
more
okay.
smexiness, I'm sure,
Are you
uncomfortable,
gonna withdraw
weird,
that, or
I'll withdraw it and if,
we'll
very
mark the next one
uncomfortable
YY?
well,
Yes,
I need it
smexiness.
to be in the record, so I'd like YY to be in the record.
that'll be court's number 1. You wanna keep it as 1? So why are you interrupting me? All right, we'll keep it as YY. All right, and we'll make your photographs a ZZ, and you have 1 through what now?
18.
1 through 18. Okay.
And I have the reason I put it on a CD is so all of the photos are on the CD, and I
Okay.
have hard copies. So the CD I'd like to be marked as ZZ, and then the photos 1 through 18.
You want that as A? No, that would have to be
I
ZZ
know.
will be the CD.
His blitzkrieg
ZZ1 will
is
be 1
totally
through
messed
18.
up
How's that?
now.
Would that work, David? Huh? Okay.
This judge is
yes.
never going to talk to us again, ever. He's going to be like, madam, I saw your stream, and I'm not from Argentina, and my dad wasn't a painter, and you suck. Thanks, Flux. Ooh, sounds smexy. Well, actually, sounds mathy. But we need mathy people. And I have not forgotten about Friday the 29th because you and Mrs. Flux have your anniversary on the Thursday. I remembered. I don't remember why I wouldn't
Alright.
go into a room sometimes, but I remembered that.
Okay, so I'm showing you a picture of the where the kind of like electrical cable type thing was found. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And so what I'm showing, by the way, is ZZ2.
Relevance to this photograph.
Wow, I haven't
See,
heard
I'm
the
helping
question
a
yet.
sister out.
This is an exhibit. Okay, so this is a piece of evidence that was
Good morning,
there at
shenanigan.
the bottom. You can see that there's the evidence marker, right?
Photo ID marker 1, yes.
Photo ID marker 1. And this is where this electrical or whatever this is was found, right?
My objection to relevance is we have.
I understand.
We have this photo in
The
evidence.
question is, he answered yes. What's your follow-up question to that?
I'm establishing the location that this was found. That's all I'm doing.
Right, but that was already a step. Let's approach.
Oh, hell no. We have skipped a few steps. I will remember to uninvigonate me. But y'all, we have skipped a few movies. It's not even lunch break yet. We are fully at Lethal Weapon, I guess 4 or 5. It depends. But Mel Gibson has a semi mullet. I believe, oh gosh, what's her name? Look, the blonde chick with the curly hair is still the love interest. They're not married yet. They don't have a kid yet. Semi mullet, but Chris Rock is not here. We are a couple steps away. I think a little half movie away from full on Chris Rock. And well, so the puppy is dead asleep, but let me see if he'll allow me to pick him up. But what is this defense doing?
All right, Gil.
Thank you. So the purpose of this is to establish where this piece of evidence was found. So here we are. This is Ivar, right?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
Okay, and there's obviously a trash can right here, right?
Yes.
So I'd like to publish a Google map here. Can you please point out where that piece of evidence was found on this Google map, roughly speaking? There's
This
a
is not a
wooden
bench
stick
trial,
behind you if you need
Peace
that.
Peony. This is actually a jury trial.
Do you see the pointer behind you?
I do see it, Your Honor. I'm still trying to orient myself to this photo.
For the record, no locations are identified on the photo.
Does that help if I zoom in a little bit more?
No,
Do you see
Doogie,
this
having a
pretty stick
map
there?
that had actual like numbers on it would have helped. You reject.
Yes, I see that. So I'm not familiar with this,
Are you able to tell from this photograph where,
but I believe, Your Honor, it's back over here someplace.
Okay, so let the record reflect that.
So, Peace Peony, this judge has had a very sort of conversational style. When the lawyers or anyone has maybe had a question that they've had a hard time clarifying, this judge has kind of jumped in and instead of saying, objection or, sustained to Daryl, I am going to put a class action lawsuit against you because swear to God, I say sustained first instead of sustained just because of you. But this judge's style seems to be one that he would rather maybe clarify the question for the record and ask the witness rather than having maybe an objection or things like that. So rather that just seems to be his personal style. Um, at least that's what I've noted through this entire case. I haven't seen another case with him presiding over it, so to me, it just seems to be his personal style.
The detective is pointing towards Ivar on the south west side of Ivar, right?
Yes.
No bite.
And so it was found right next to where the trash cans were out, right?
A few feet away.
And trash collection day for this block of Ivar is on
all right,
Friday.
under 352, the court's going to interpose its own objection. Let's move on, counsel. If that's going to be the nature of your questions that are following these photographs, the court is going to 352 deny the questions. So
I can't ask what day
how does he know when trash day
He
is?
can say he doesn't know.
Well, why are you asking that question, counsel? Let's approach.
Oh, hell no. We just went full on Danny Glover. Why the hell is Chris Rock in my movie? Full on done with this, ready to retire. We have reached that level. I didn't think we would before the defense got rolling on their case, but we have reached the level, you guys. It has been achieved. Life achievement unlocked for Doogie Howser. And Peace Peony, if you are confused, it was determined by myself and the Peanut Gallery that the judge looks a bit like a struggling Austrian painter from the 1930s. May or may not have survived, escaped to Argentina, had a child who became a judge, and then the judge does himself no favors with that mustache and the golden eagles that bedeck his desk and the retro red microphone also, and the Thinkin' Lincoln portrait behind him. So he does somewhat look like an a historical figure that we can't really mention. But he has not been happy with the way the defense has been conducting this case, and he has not been shy in expressing his irritation with sort of the time wastery that he feels the defense is engaging in.
All right. I'd like to have you look at what is ZZ6. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And this is how the patio looked on the 15th of February 2020, right?
At the time this photo was taken, yes.
And this photo was taken 15. This is one of the photos that you had taken of the scene.
Yes.
So I'd just like to zoom in here. Now, this photograph here shows that there's damage to the awning beneath the balcony, right?
Objection Vegas, the damage.
Do you understand the question?
I believe I do.
Do you see damage on there?
I see something on the awning, yes.
Okay.
I'd like to show one more of this, with a slightly different angle, Your Honor, and then I'm moving on. So this is ZZ7. Is this, detective, is this also a photograph that you asked to be taken of the patio on the 15th of February, 2020?
Yes.
Now I'm zooming in. And isn't it true that there is damage to the awning beneath the patio?
Vegas, the damage.
Yeah. Do you see damage on there?
I see something, Your Honor.
Would you
But
characterize it as damage?
I don't remember seeing damage to anything that day, but I see there's something on the awning there.
Now, what the defense is trying to build up, and I don't know if everyone saw the defense's opening statement that will give you all the rage if you watch it. But basically, the defense states that while the two got into a tussle, when Gareth unannounced and uninvited broke into her house to have a non-consensual talk with her that ended up with some mild strangulation and um, again, we need to have kind of a visual aid. Friberto, I'm afraid you're going to have to get off my lap so I can get the board of truth out. Sorry about you. And make ourselves embiggenated and get the lovely, fun, lethal weapon since he's already achieved maximum Danny Glover, too old and too tired and too ready to retire, done with this shit level. Doneness for the day. But Gareth was, I believe, 6'4". As always, the males get dangly bits. So 6'4" and 230. I believe she was 5'2". Now she gets boobs because she had her bra. She had her bras framed for some reason. So I think she was 5'2" and maybe 110 pounds soaking wet. Okay. So regardless of, movies in Hollywood, all it would have taken is one good haymaker to the head and she's incapacitated. So what the defense is trying to say is that these two got into what we would call, the defense would say, was a struggle hug. And then she somehow, this is the balcony. Now, because she was a dancer, she somehow parkoured her way, hanging on for dear life. And unfortunately, somehow God and gravity worked against her, but she was trying to run away from him, got over on the balcony and fell. And they're going to claim that their mathematician and their scienceologist, did all the numbering and can prove that one of the likely scenarios that includes this, little awning being damaged is that she just straight up fell. Now, the problem with that is that after mild strangulation and possibly hitting, I don't believe that she was conscious. Okay? I don't think she was corpus mentis, if we want to use, a Sarah Boone word. I think he flat out just tossed her, allegedly, because I don't think that, again, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. And despite what the movies will say, there's a really good channel called Roanoke Gaming that this YouTuber was actually I think microbiologist, but he has all the biology training, and he will go into what actually happens when you get, a good old, you know, smack to your noggin. So, you're not gonna get up and kick ass and take names after that. She was probably down for the count. It was a surprise attack. I don't think she, parkoured her way Assassin Creed style, you know, or Office style out to the well, I look, as a fluffy person, that's what I weighed when I was in middle school. I don't know. I picked a small number. I picked a number smaller than the number I lied to the government about on my driver's license. But what they are trying to set up. Oh, Lord Jesus. That was something Mike Tyson said. Why the hell are you copying Mike Tyson? And everyone's a little gay for Henry Cavill. I know I am. Bring Henry Cavill back. Yeah, that's the thing. He's gonna be stronger than her. I mean, you cannot deny it, and that's what the coroner is gonna say. They're setting something up here that if you have 1 ounce of common sense or, critical thinking, it's bologna sandwich.
All right.
Does it at that time of day the awning it was broken in one part there that you can see on the photo, right?
I see something in the photo. Again, I don't remember seeing anything broken or damaged enough that it caught my eye.
And whatever that is
Flux, I'm
in
with
the
ya.
photograph, that you're not sure if it's damaged.
Well, him and
whatever
Mike Rowe
that's showing
and
up
maybe
there, though,
Razor
is to
Fist.
the left of the
Look,
gutter spout,
Mr.
right?
Mo knows that there are
To
some
the
passes.
left,
As in, it's
oh, the
I
downspout.
think Mr. Mo
Yeah,
would
the
have a
downspout.
pass for Henry
To the
Cavill
left
too.
of that downspout.
correct.
Yes.
A guy that can talk The Witcher and build his own computer, everyone's a little gay for Henry Cavill. It's all right. It's a fact of life. Stop looking up from the
All right.
desk.
I'd like to show you.
Where is David, white girl wasted when we need him? I demand he calls this courtroom and makes sure that frickin' this man doesn't look up from the desk. He's creeping me out. It's like he heard that we were talking about Henry Cavill being cuter than him, and he's upset.
What is ZZ16? You recognize that? That's the balcony off of her bedroom, right?
Yes.
And I'd like to show you one more photograph of the balcony. This is ZZ17, right?
I don't know your number.
Or sorry,
Is it
I'm
17 or
sorry.
not?
That's the balcony off of the bedroom.
Did this witness testify
Salvor.
about the balcony
make
and
me
several
read-
pictures,
Don't make me
photographs
regret
were
our
shown to him, the left of the
cleanness.
balcony, the right of the balcony, the vantage point from looking down from the balcony already? Mr. Franzel?
Yes, Your Honor. So I'm just saying, this is the balcony, right? That's all I'm.
Mr. Fan Zone. Wait, first we've got vantage point, I think from the
Down from the balcony
Valkyrie.
already? Mr. Franzel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr.
So
Fan Zone.
I'm just saying, this is the balcony, right? That's all I'm.
Right,
Yes
and
or
that's
no?
what he said the first time around, when you showed him photographs of it.
All right.
All right.
Can you answer?
You're
Yes, he said it's a balcony, is it not?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Publishing what was previously marked as defense M.M. Objective
You're
foundation
forgiven.
date. I'm not asking.
So the date? I didn't hear any, I haven't heard a question yet.
So, to you, this appears to be Miss Harwick on this very same balcony outside of her bedroom.
I'm gonna object foundation. date.
Jesus,
Sustain
Mary,
the photo.
moldering baby, tiny Jesus. Why? This photo means nothing. This photo means nothing. I give up. She is obviously on a photo shoot. D- There is a very big difference from, possibly being strangulated and incapacitated and, being in a bodysuit, that's got lace and, pointing your toes and being all made up. Although I do points for someone as pale as me finally getting some representation. Points for those of us who can't go out in the sun. Day walkers, they call us. Finally, someone who has to get, clear
No
foundation.
date. I'm not asking about a date.
Well, do you know if that's the same balcony, sir?
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with that photo.
all right.
So you're not sure if this is the same balcony, right? So this is,
This detective
This
is just
balcony and the balcony you showed me in the previous photo, I'm not sure if that is the same or not. I
this
don't know.
detective's like,
Don't know.
"I'm not gonna
I'm not
answer
familiar
yes
with
just
that
'cause I'm
photo.
done with you, sir."
okay, so the balcony that
I'm gonna object to foundation.
Let me hear the question. What's the question?
The balcony railing that she is sitting on is black, right?
Yeah, okay, he just stated, counsel, that's where his answer stands. He is not sure. Now, if you're gonna go through, they also have 5 rails on, 5, I guess, rails on it, and they have twirly marks on them, and they're black, and therefore, he's already stated, he doesn't recognize it. He can't tell you one way or the other. So let's move on, if you would.
Is it that okay? So you're not sure, but to you, are you saying that it doesn't it's not the same balcony?
I'm gonna object to
Sustain,
foundation.
sustain.
Now, I'd like to show you ZZ18. This is you, right, detective, in the photo. Oh,
That looks like you. I'm kidding you.
right. This is you, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Now, just for reference, just so we can kind of get a sense, how tall are you?
5'10".
Well, I think he has earlier in the case, I think he was a little bit more on the defense, but I think he's been equally as harsh on the state when they're on a topic where he feels like they are wasting time. Because I was kind of making that point earlier on in the case, but I feel like this judge just doesn't want the jury and his time wasted. And I think on balance, looking at both sides, the defense is really wasting time here, really doing a lot of things. And sorry, I'm talking to my local source and things are just it, look, this Delphi thing is just getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And I don't have enough tinfoil. And tinfoil's expensive, y'all. But it seems more that he has a direct
like to just
opposition
very
to lawyers
briefly
just wasting time.
Go through the photographs that are on this CD just so that he can say that he recognizes them and move on to a different topic. These are photographs from inside the house.
And
Is that
he also did ask the defense, and the defense did say, because he's been trying to tell the jury, like, hey, the state's going to it's more like he did say the state is going to rest. I think this is the state's last witness. And the defense basically said, look, we have about 45 minutes of questions. We want to get done with this and present our case. And it's been about an hour and a half of just piddly stuff that he's kind of given them the impression of, okay, you guys move on, let's go. Come on, what are you trying to do here? And it almost seems like the defense, while they're pushing on points that they feel are important, it almost seems like they're reluctant to let this witness go and start their own case, or at least that is how it appears to me. I don't know, maybe they're reading the jury and the jury is really engaged in this. I somehow highly doubt it because I have all the ADHD and I am bored as hell, but I'm making it I hope I'm making it entertaining at least for you guys. But
It is. Didn't you ask him already about photographs of the house?
Well,
You said you had 15 minutes. I'm going to cut you off in 10. So no matter how you look at it, you can use your 10 minutes as you wish. But we're just going around circles here now at this point.
okay, he pulled the old mom trick where you tell the kids they have 20 minutes, but you've cut it down to 10 minutes already. You're like, "Hey kids, we have 15 minutes left at the park, but you have set your alarm for 10 minutes because, you know, you are done being at the park and you realize that you still have to make dinner."
all right. So this is ZZ7. This is the patio, right?
Yes,
And these are all of these photos that I'm about to show you, up to ZZ16. These are photographs that you had that you asked to have taken. So this is ZZ8. This is the patio, right?
yes,
And this is something you had a photographer photograph.
yes,
ZZ9. Same question, right? You had a photographer take this picture
yes, I did.
on the 15th of February.
Yes,
ZZ10. Same question.
yes,
ZZ11. Same question.
yes,
ZZ12. Same question.
yes,
ZZ13. Same question.
yes.
I don't understand why we're reviewing the
ZZ14. Same
questions
question.
Yes,
or reviewing the photos.
ZZ15. Same question.
yes,
And now let's talk about the August 6th visit to Mound Street. So you were present on August 6th, 2020 for a court-ordered inspection of
I'm gonna
20.
object as to,
Twin jackass? You know, I love you, closed captions. Please be on every case. You make life hilarious. Twin jackass.
Objection is what?
objection as to, form of the question, the information.
Court order?
I'll withdraw it.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your question, Counsel.
You were present on August 6th, 2020 for a court-ordered inspection of 2086 Mound Street by Ms. Bernstein Lev and an investigator Nicely, right?
yes,
And you had an LAPD photographer photograph the property prior to the defense inspection.
yes,
One moment.
Is it just me or does Gareth look like he's lost a little weight since the trial started?
What's the next one over here?
You are at AAA or AQ.
All right. I'd like to mark a photograph as AAA.
All right.
Is this how the kitchen door appeared on August 6th, 2020?
I don't really remember.
Okay, is this the kitchen door inside of 2086
well.
Mound Street?
Yes,
I've been fairly mean to him this morning. I'm trying to be a little nicer ish. Still looks like he doesn't wash his hair though.
On direct, Mr. Avila went through all of the places in 2086 Mound Street where you instructed the criminalist to swab, right?
I believe so.
There were no other swabs done on surfaces in the house that Mr. Avila failed to cover with you.
I'll object as argumentative.
Just saying, it's characterized failed.
No, I meant
That he did not ask you about.
that's all I asked.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not insinuating a failure on Mr. Avila's part. I'm saying there weren't other swabs done on surfaces in the house that he did not go over with.
No, I believe we went through them all, yes.
Mr. Pursehouse was first arrested on February 15th at 4:30 p.m.
Yes.
And he was booked early the night of the 16th at 2:16 in the morning.
I don't recall the exact time of his booking.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at just the page 1 of the arrest report?
It may.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So date arrested, time arrested.
16:30. Time arrested. Time book 2:16. Oh, 2:15. Okay.
So when that first arrest, he was arrested at 4:30 p.m., right?
Yes.
On the 15th of February.
Yes.
And he was booked at 2:16 a.m. on the 16th.
Yes.
And then he posted bail and was released on the 18th at 10:13 p.m.
I know he posted bail. I don't know what time he was released.
Would it refresh your recollection?
No, I had nothing to do with that.
Okay. And then he was rearrested on the 19th of February at 4:30 p.m.
I believe so.
Regarding the warrant to Google for the Google Nest videos and whether Google sent any files back, I have a question. You spoke to Detective Lamberti prior to your testimony at the preliminary hearing, right?
I don't recall.
Detective Lamberti was handling the warrant to Google regarding the Google Nest cameras, right?
I believe so.
And you testified about this at the preliminary hearing,
I'm
right?
gonna object, that's Prop 115, objection as hearsay.
Sustain.
I'm not asking what he said. I'm saying just.
Well, okay, did you testify procedurally, did you testify?
Did you testify about this topic? I'm not asking specific statements.
I don't recall.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at the preliminary hearing transcript?
Objection.
Well,
Has it been 10 minutes yet?
He's not gonna
Swear
ask
to
him
God,
what
it
was
feels like
said,
it's
he's
been
gonna
18
ask him
years since you said 10
to
minutes.
remind him that he testified with that. Go ahead. Another
It's
5
been
minutes now.
18 years, right?
We'll be taking a break in 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Looking at volume 5,
It's only been 5
page
minutes.
114.
This
Um,
can't be right.
Actually, let's start at 113. This is all everything. All right, here we go. 112, line 25. Into 113, line 4, or line 7. Does that refresh your recollection?
A little bit.
And so you did testify at the preliminary hearing about the efforts to obtain footage from Google Nest, right?
Yes.
And in preparation for your testimony, you spoke to Detective Lamberti about the warrant to Google.
Objection, relevance, Prop 115 testimony.
Sustain.
Did you speak to the detective?
Objection, relevance.
I'm impeaching Detective Lamberti.
I'll allow him to testify to answer that question.
Did you speak to Detective Lamberti about the search warrant to Google?
Yes.
And isn't it true that he told you that there were no video files accessible to LAPD
Yes.
and that he did not get any files back?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
On direct, Mr. Avila showed you the DMV printout that you looked at for Mr. Pursehouse.
Yes.
The data on that document is simply what the DMV had in their system at the time, right?
Correct.
You don't know at the time when you were looking at it, you didn't know if the information was correct, right?
I assumed it was correct, but I don't, I get it from the DMV, so that's,
Right. All it is whatever the information that was
What-
inputted into the DMV at some point in time in the past.
correct.
You previously testified that you were familiar with the LAPD homicide manual, right?
Sure, yes,
And it sets out the department's policy for an investigation into a potential homicide, right?
yes,
And in this case, responding officers quickly determined that an investigation needed to occur, right?
yes,
And responding officers quickly determined that Ms. Harwick was gravely injured, right?
Well, I don't know what the responding officers thought.
Objection relevance as to this witness.
Sustained.
So the preliminary investigation at the crime scene is the most important and possibly the most sensitive aspect of a homicide investigation.
Objection compound.
All right. Sustained. Go ahead, rephrase your question, Counsel.
Per the homicide manual and how detectives are trained, the preliminary investigation at the crime scene is the most important aspect of the homicide investigation.
Per the manual, I believe that's what it says.
I'm gonna ask to be shown this stuff.
So is that what was your response, sir?
I said, per the manual, I believe that's what it says, yes. Per the homicide manual.
And that the preliminary investigation is possibly the most sensitive aspect of the homicide investigation, right?
Possibly,
That the best investigative method at the scene is to treat each case as a homicide until the facts prove differently, right?
I believe that's what it says in the manual.
Do you disagree with the manual?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
According to the LAPD policy, the first officers
It's
to
the
arrive at the scene
LAPD. How,
shall immediately
They have a
isolate the
manual?
vicinity where the incident occurred.
I
right?
am
Just-
shocked
All right,
that they
under
have one.
352, do you have
I
any
did not know
any
this.
other questions, Counsel?
This is just
I understand what you're asking, Counsel.
okay. I have like 5 more questions.
Go ahead.
So-
I got ready.
The responding officers are trained to carefully note anything touched, right?
Are they trained that way?
I can't say how each officer is trained,
Okay. So you don't have the knowledge to answer that.
correct?
All right.
And it's best practice and
It's almost like
in the
having
in the
an
manual
ethics board in
itself,
Congress. Do
that
we really
it's
need to spend money on that?
important to note
Seems like
anything that
somewhere
was
we could
touched,
make
right?
a cut.
Is it important to note anything that was touched? Is that your question? I want to make sure I understand.
That it's best practice. That is in terms of investigating a potential homicide. That it's best practice to carefully note anything touched.
Touched by the officers, touched by whom?
Touched by the officers.
Touched by an angel.
I would agree that that would be best
Where is
practice.
Roma Downey? Where did she go? Della Reese, where have you been?
That the senior officer of the first unit that arrives on the scene shall be responsible for ensuring that the crime scene procedures have been implemented, right?
Yes,
In this case, that was Sergeant Denis, right? Until the detectives got involved.
no, I don't believe that's correct.
That extreme care must be exercised in preserving the scene
That
and
is
any
awesome,
evidence
Flex.
present.
Thank everyone in your family
Yes.
for their service.
That
That
failure
is
to
so
properly
awesome.
protect the scene may also cause irreparable damage to the case.
I'm gonna object this argumentative.
Ooh.
Possibly,
One of the most significant tasks for a homicide detective is to locate and preserve physical evidence.
yes, I would agree.
And that's one reason why you had so many things photographed, right?
Yes,
You wanted to make a record of the state of those different pieces of physical evidence.
yes. My take on the crime scenes is we have one shot at the crime scene. We can always go back and re-interview witnesses. We can always rerun lab tests or request different lab tests. But we only have the crime scene for a finite amount of time. And once we break down the crime scene, then we can no longer say what's going on, and what may be relevant, and what may not be.
Right, and I think you testified on direct that part of your rationale was, be over inclusive, take more photographs than you think might be necessary, so that you have everything captured, right?
That's my personal thing. Is I try to
So your answer is yes?
yes.
All right.
And so if things were tainted or disturbed before those photographs, then that would be relevant and important to you.
Yes.
Nothing further.
All right. You gonna ask questions?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a break. Let's take a 15-minute break, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Dear Lord, let this.
Only have a few minutes to get you to Tennessee. So.
Yes.
I've been told.
All right, we are prepared to go forward. You were gonna redirect?
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes.
I've been told I only have a few minutes to get you to Tennessee. So. These officers that first arrive at the scene, these young officers, have they all studied the homicide manual? To your knowledge, are these officers trained to study the homicide manual when they first get
To your knowledge, okay, so I'll allow it that way.
to LAPD?
To my knowledge, probably not.
And so what's more important for an officer when he arrives at a scene where you don't know if the suspect is still inside? Is it to make sure the place is safe, or to start blocking anyone from walking into that location?
The most important thing the officers have is preservation of human life. After that, then the next thing is there a suspect that's still at the scene for apprehension purposes, and then secure and lock down the scene.
Now, you were asked about the information on defendant's DMV photo. When he was arrested, you got to be right in front of the defendant that day of February 15, 2020, correct?
Yes, I was there. I eventually
What is
arrived
that
at the scene.
face? Y'all, explain to me what this face is. What is this face? This man used to be a fitness model. What is that? This is this is a crime against humanity. This is I don't even think I can amalgamate that face, but let's try. I'm going to embiggen. I can't. What was he thinking? I don't that why? What what in the why was that? I can't, and I'm glad that they keep posting that face. I would have put that face as the thumbnail if I were the prosecutor, because I know it would probably piss him off to have that goofy ass face up there every single time they had to
Mr.
put something up
Pursehouse
for
was still at scene
him.
of the arrest.
I would.
And you also got to see
I'm
the
a-
ring videos
I'm
to
an
see what
ass.
that person that was in the ring videos appeared like, what his size appeared to be.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show
I
you
isn't
part of
ass.
the ring video.
I am.
And this is ring video designated. Let's see the title. It's the one at time 2053-46.
Objection beyond the scope.
Overruled. I think the identity was asked about in the DMV, and I take it.
It's taking a minute, so.
I just unplugged myself.
What?
Oh, here we go. All right, looking here, does this appear to be the individual at the ring camera? This is the ring cam. This is People's Exhibit number 8 at time 2053.
Oh, damn it.
And the
I've embiggened
time
me. I will
is
go
5
back.
seconds to the video. Do you see
Damn it.
the person there? The one at time 2053-46.
Objection beyond the scope.
Overruled. I think the identity was asked
This is
about in the
going to be
DMV,
the
and I
most
take it.
hilarious thing, because watch what they're bringing up as you had to stare at my face instead of watching the thing, because I'm a
Oh, here we
genius.
go. All right, looking here, does this appear to be the individual at the ring camera? This is the ring cam. This is People's Exhibit number 8 at
I
time
cannot be trusted.
2053, and the time is 5 seconds to the video. Do you see the person there?
I do?
Does the person appear to be wearing gloves?
Yes.
And do you see around the shorts, do you see like a white string or rope around the outside of the shorts?
Objection, false or speculation.
Do you see what? Do you see a marking of some sort?
Beyond the scope.
You can answer that.
Yes, I see what appears to be a rope or string.
On the outside of the shorts.
Not foundation.
Well, he said what appears to be. He didn't say what.
Does it appear to be that?
Yes,
And that's on the outside of the shorts.
outside, yes.
And now, there was collection of evidence at defendant's home. I'm looking here at People's Exhibit number 76. Are these some of the shorts that were collected?
Yes.
Objection outside the scope.
And looking at photograph B,
This
see that
judge
shorts
is
with
like,
the white line on the side.
Yes, I do.
And did these shorts have a black drawstring on the
you done
inside?
asked the dumb
Yes.
questions. I'm gonna go.
And when you met with the defendant on February 15, did he appear to you to be 6'4"?
Objection, speculation.
He said appeared. He said conclusively.
Yes.
Did he appear to be around
The
230
judge is like,
pounds?
you
Yes.
done pissed me off. I gonna go. You had me go full Danny Glover.
Were you the one that
You asked for this.
obtained the Nest camera videos?
No.
That was Lamberti.
Yes.
And you have different detectives obtaining different evidence, correct?
Correct.
Counsel kept asking you about preservation letters. Didn't Lamberti send out the search warrant for those Nest cameras the very next day?
Yes.
And at the preliminary hearing, defense counsel is the one that asked you, what do you know about the Nest camera videos, correct?
Yes.
Had prior to her asking you that at the preliminary hearing in 2021, had you studied carefully what had occurred with those Nest camera videos?
No.
So you were just answering her questions based on what she asked you at that moment.
Yes.
And didn't you indicate, and I'm looking at page 114 of the preliminary hearing transcript. Counsel ready?
Yes.
When Ms. Bernstein asked you, and they included an attachment, is that correct? And your answer, I'm not aware of attachments.
Correct.
So you were answering those questions at the preliminary hearing to the best of your ability of what someone else did.
Yes.
I don't know. Seems kind of okay to me, but
On February 16th, 2020, is that the first time Robert Koshland was interviewed?
I believe so. Yes.
And was that initial interview with him, was that recorded?
Yes.
And then after that, was Sarah Rollins interviewed?
Yes.
And is it that interview that you allowed Robert Koshland to stay with him?
Yes.
Why did you allow that to happen?
As I said, she was a little hesitant, nervous, scared, and she felt better to have somebody that she had known with her at the time.
Counsel showed you some notes regarding your initial conversation with Aspen Jameson on October 19th, 2021, and whether that was a full interview or whether that was just a logistical phone call. In your notes for that, do you just document the following? Ex-Biz Red Carpet, January 2020, bullet point, intro to Hardwick, correct?
Yes.
Saw and heard mail.
Yes.
Why are you here?
Yes.
Not supported.
Yes.
Liar, two-face.
Yes.
Do you know who she was referring to when she was telling you about a liar, two-face?
I don't recall.
Got heated, walk away.
Yes.
So were you trying to conduct a full interview when you called her the first time?
No.
Why not?
Like I said, this telephone call was just to introduce myself, find out if she is in fact the person that was on the red carpet when this event occurred, and then once I was satisfied that yes, she is the person, she has some relevant information, and I wanted to set up a date and time and a location where we could sit
I don't
down and
really
have
wanna walk, but
a
I'm giving you
video
the eyes, like,
recorded
are we done
interview.
yet?
And did you interview her on October 28th, 2021?
Yes,
And did you record that interview?
yes. In fact, I had to check out recording equipment to take with us to Henderson to record it.
So you went out of your way to make sure this was recorded, her first interview with you.
Yes, absolutely.
Kind of seems like he's on the up and up, but
Now, have you told, well, you were present for the preliminary hearing, correct?
I was.
And at the preliminary hearing, Hernando Chavez testified that he heard the defendant say, you ruined my fucking life, bitch, something to that effect.
Objection is 60 testimony.
Something to that
Uh-oh, he had
effect.
the F
Is
word.
that incorrect?
I believe that is correct. Yes.
And did you tell Hernando Chavez he should say that
No.
at the preliminary hearing?
No, I did not.
Did you tell
Absolutely.
him to come into court in this trial and say that he personally heard, you ruined my life, you fucking bitch?
No, I didn't. Absolutely did not.
this lawyer loves
And
to
you
say
recorded
this
his
line.
first-
This lawyer says this line ad infinitum, and I believe his opening statement, and then every single witness that even tangentially is allowed to could possibly have heard this. I believe this lawyer is tickled pink that he gets to say these words in court, and he says them ad nauseum.
Interview, correct?
Yes.
He's just excited to be able to say cursey words. I can
People's Exhibit number 11A.
understand, so I'll allow it.
Is this looking at page 8 of the transcript for Hernando Chavez's interview on February 18th, 2020? The recording, that's the best of what happened during the interview, correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm just looking here. But from what they both told me, the performer and Amy, he was saying, you ruined my life. He called her a bitch. He was escalated. I mean, it wasn't like a voice like me. It's the high he was yelling, basically. And enough to where the performers were calling me repeatedly and obviously ran over to me. So, yeah, he was just and saying things like, you ruined my life. You're such a hypocrite. Correct?
Correct.
And
Seems like a normal.
you can have whatever
relationship.
interpretation you want of what he said to you, correct?
Yes.
But it's Hernando Chavez who will say what he heard or not.
Objection meeting overruled.
Yes. It was what he said. Nobody can answer better than himself for his words.
And counsel asked you about Michael Herman and this LA Times article that came out on February 2020. Do you know where was Michael when he first left that voicemail message for you on February 2020?
I do.
Where was he?
He was in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Objection calls for speculation.
Okay, well, how do you know that, sir?
He told me.
Objection here.
So would that be hearsay if he
Well,
don't
Motion to
know?
strike.
Where
Stricken.
when you talked to him on February 2020, he told you many things in that voicemail and also later in that interview.
Yes.
Correct.
Why, he said he told you things, so.
Well, defense counsel asked you about what he told you during the voicemail and during your interview, correct?
Correct.
So in those interviews, did he indicate at any point where he was when he
Objection
talked to you?
hearsay.
I'm going to sustain, so that'll remain.
Without getting into his statement, you knew where Michael Herman was when he called you.
Objection hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I did.
And in the voicemail that he left for you on February 2020, does he say, and I'm just going to say, hi, detective.
Objection hearsay. This is the same.
I don't know where he's going with this, I don't know.
Counsel asked about the voicemail, and
Okay,
he also asked about his Michael Herman's interview, so I'm rehabilitating the witness.
all right,
He's.
let's hear what, I don't know what he's gonna read, Counsel. No, let me hear what he's gonna read.
Was this his statement? This is Mike Herman. I remember something yesterday that I wanted to tell you. I don't think it's going to be any new information or anything to help. But after seeing the door and stuff just yesterday, it occurred to me that I remember while I was being woken up by what sounded like a plate dropping and then somebody walking around up the stairs.
Hmm.
Did he say that in his voicemail?
Yes.
So he's saying to you that after seeing the door and stuff at the house, that now he's decided to call them.
Objection hearsay.
You can answer that.
Yes.
He didn't say that he read some LA Times article, did he?
No.
Do you have any information that he ever read that LA Times article?
Objection. Closer speculation. Foundation.
I'm asking if he has any
Any
information.
information, I'll allow it as such.
Yes.
Yes, what?
I have information.
No, I don't know if you understood correctly. Do you know whether Michael had access or Michael actually read that LA Times article that the defense
Objection.
counsel was
Closer
referring to?
speculation. Foundation.
He doesn't know. I take it you don't know that, do you, sir? You don't know if he read an LA Times article, do you, Mr. Herman?
I I do know what he told me. Yes.
Okay,
Objection. This is hearsay.
sustained.
Then you interviewed him after that, correct?
Yes.
And
This
Looking at-
judge is
on February
beyond
February
done with
2020,
all of these lawyers.
page 2, line 10. Where did you ask right away in the interview? Well, why do you think she went to the ground to the floor? Answer: I think
Hearsay.
Rude.
I think because when I yelled up her name, Detective, I think he put her to the ground as quickly as he could and started choking her. Detective, okay. Herman, I could hear choking. Is that what he said?
Yes.
And counsel asked you about a closeout report. And what
I mean,
is the
this witness
closeout
is never
report?
going to end.
A
I'm
report that's
skimming ahead
8 pages?
oh,
In this
we have a new
particular case,
witness.
yes.
And was this closeout report authored on February 17, 2020, 2 days after Miss Dr. Amy Harwood's death?
Yes.
So does this mean the case is closed with this report?
No, not at all.
So tell the jury, what does an LAPD closeout report really mean?
So the title "Closeout" is on the front page of the report. Basically, it is as soon as certain criteria are met, a suspect has been
And
identified.
then
A suspect is
hopefully,
arrested.
Doogie
The
is
district
not
attorney
allowed
has
to
filed charges.
redirect or
Then that case is progressed to a point where we close it out as far as statistical information that has to be reported up the chain of command and to the FBI that keeps national crime statistics. It doesn't mean the investigation is over and closed and finished and we can all go home.
And as a witness, let's say a witness all of a sudden remembers something new that they didn't tell you at first. Do you allow them to make that statement?
Yes.
When you first interviewed Michael Herman in those video clips that were shown, was he told to remain at the crime scene during that whole time?
Objection. Relevance outside the scope.
Sustained. Counsel, let's move on.
What was Michael Herman's demeanor during your interviews at the crime scene with him? How would you describe his demeanor?
Objection. Outside the scope.
Ooh.
I would say he was
spasm.
highly excited.
Objection. Speculation.
And what are you basing that on?
Just his speech, his body mannerisms, fidgeting of the hands and feet, couldn't really stay still.
All right.
There's a little nose clammy, if you know what I mean.
Counsel kept asking questions about this preservation letter. Does the fact that you may send a preservation letter to a company, does that mean that company is going to do whatever you want them to do?
Objection. Speculation. Foundation.
Well, what's your
Well, I'm going to sustain it. He doesn't know what they're going to do with it.
and you recorded your interviews with Michael Herman, correct? From February 15
Yes.
and February 2020?
Yes.
And lastly, during that initial interview with Michael Herman at the crime scene when it's being recorded by a body worn video, looking at page 30, lines 26, lines 27, is he asked, well, didn't you mentioned that you heard like, and he answers, oh, well, yeah, the shuffling. Did he talk about that he heard shuffling?
Yes,
And did he also say that he had yelled out, hey, motherfucker?
yes,
This lawyer just loves that he's allowed to yell profanity in the courtroom.
Vegas time.
He's like, I'm
Sure.
gonna say profanity all
During,
the times. All the profanities.
That's during your February 15th, 2020 interview, correct?
yes,
Same.
At the police station. I'm going to correct it right now.
Are you saying when and time he made that statement
There were
in the building?
I'm going to clarify it. I'm going to
Okay,
clarify.
okay, let's go
The
ahead.
statement that I just read, that was done on February 15th, 2020, back at the police station.
yes.
Just one moment. Now, talking about the walkthrough,
Hmm.
all right, walkthrough, page 7. Was this his statement, line 14? And I yell out, hey, motherfucker, because I feel like it sounds like a struggle. Like it just sounds, I hear a lot
Because he just
like stomping around and I hear screaming. Was that his statement during the walkthrough while he saw at the crime scene?
Yes,
Looking at page 12 of the same transcript, line 2, I just say, hey, motherfucker, and then I then am running the back door like I was just hoping that, well, he's like, okay, somebody else is here, and he'll hopefully flee or leave or something. Is that what Michael said during that body-worn video walkthrough, the first one at the crime scene?
yes,
I have nothing further on.
Any redirect, recross?
I
Oh,
believe that
dear
based on
Lord,
the
no.
questioning by Mr. Aguilar, I should be able to play the clip now from the station interview.
Which one? Is this third time you're asking for that same clip?
No, this is Mr. Herman at the station being interviewed.
How long is that?
Just like, I think under 20 seconds.
Go ahead.
I don't trust this man and his calculation of time. I believe his 20
Uh,
seconds
Triple B.
will last 5
Is that a
minutes.
CD?
And
Yes, it's a CD.
well, generally that would be a good thing. In this case, no. No, it's actually the opposite. It definitely needs to be the other way around.
The transcript is number 1. All right.
For the love of Lemmy, just make it stop.
here's this.
You could just hand me one here, Kelsey. Thank you.
My
So do you recognize this, Detective?
Yes,
And this is the interview with Michael Herman on the 15th of February back at the station, right?
at Hollywood Station.
I apologize, Your Honor, it's not under 20 seconds. It is very short.
Go ahead.
Can you remember? Still hears,
I still heard screaming.
still hears. Yeah, and we were at the house.
Because when I was yelling, because when I was leaving, I yelled up there, "Hey, motherfucker," like really loud, because I wanted him to think I was coming upstairs, so maybe he'd like stop and run. You know,
You know that he's not in the house, but alone, two of them.
Right. And I didn't know it was like, I didn't know there was multiple people, I just didn't know. I just hoped that would like, that they would make the person flee.
Right. And besides
no
besides
idea.
hearing her
Almost
screaming,
there.
what else did you hear? Well, didn't you mentioned to me that you heard like
Oh, but yeah, it was shuffling.
shuffling
Yeah.
from
From
up
up above
above.
the person, yeah. Yeah, it sounded like, that wasn't when I was like running out, that was when I was yelling up Amy, that was when like, it felt like I heard like shuffling.
Okay. Did you hear?
Because when I ran out, like I just yelled, "Hey, motherfucker," and then ran out.
So initially Amy and you hear the shuffling.
Yeah.
And then you go into the room, you come back out of the room, she's still screaming.
Yeah.
And then you yell back up again, and then you exit through the back door. Besides the shuffling, her screaming, do you remember, did you hear anything else like banging or clanking or
No, that was all
things
I heard.
falling down? Okay.
On redirect, you testified that you called Aspen Jameson just to introduce yourself and set up the interview, right?
For the 80th
Well, I
time,
said,
yes.
I called her,
Well, withdrawn.
I called her
That is
to
okay, Jonathan. We are all right with
determine
dumb
if
jokes.
she was
I
the
do
person
them
that
all
we
the
were
time.
looking for
It is
to talk to. I asked her just some brief preliminary type questions to make sure she had information, knew what we were talking about, and then set up an interview.
And so it's your testimony here today that you did not ask Aspen Jameson whether she heard Gareth Pursehouse say, "You ruined my life, bitch," in that phone call. You never asked that question.
No, that you got into in your first cross. I thought that we made an issue of it.
Right. You didn't ask that question.
No,
And prior to your testimony, the preliminary hearing, you thoroughly reviewed Mr. Hernando Chavez's interview, right?
I reviewed it, yes.
And you testified that he did not tell you that he personally heard Gareth Pursehouse say, "You ruined my life, bitch."
Jackson asked and answered.
Just saying.
This was raised in redirect.
It doesn't matter, Council, that you asked that question. Anything?
No.
You get to go home.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a safe trip to Tennessee. You want to wait till 1:30 or you?
We can wait until 1:30.
Let's come back at 1:30, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good lunch if you will, all right? Thank you.
all right. So that was the morning session and possibly a Geneva Convention violation. Oh crap. That was the wrong thing. I am embiggenated. So you guys will be with Sal and Excited Utterance for the afternoon. Maybe the state will finally rest and we will get the defenses something or other. I will be working the rest of the afternoon on some leads that I've gotten from my local source about some of the look, y'all, this Delphi thing is insanity, but there are some FBI things that they are doing cases involving Odinites in Indiana that I had no idea. So apparently we have been tracking the wrong people. It's not the Illuminati or the Masons that are involved in everything. We were tracking the wrong people. It's, it's the Masonites. I also need to make my Conspira hat. So I will be running to the local Walmart to get my rhinestones and hat and create my own Conspira hat with my own flair. So I will see you guys in let's see. I will see you guys at 7 for the Newsy News Nightly. The nightly Newsy News you never knew you needed with Fry possibly and Loki possibly. And then at 8 we will continue on with the nuke from orbit memoranda that has swept the nation and We will be going over it. I will have a whiteboard. I'm trying to get my lapel mic so we can have the mobile camera and be able to write on the big whiteboard and maybe make sense of this a little bit. But I will see you guys later. Hopefully that this trial will make more sense and we will get the defense's side and we will make sense of everything. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I will see you later. And if you want to jump over to Jody, it is Jody time. It is Jody day. And, go over to Making Law Simple News Network, I think is what he's doing. And that will be great. Have a lovely, lovely day. Like and subscribe and share with your friends if you think this is awesome or you just want to share with your friends. Have a great day. Bye, guys.